Hey, I'm Felissa Rose, and you're watching Keto Krime.
Hey everyone, this young lady before you is a former YouTube personality by the name of Based Mama. She used to be pretty big into the skeptic, anti-SJW genre here on YouTube, and she and a couple of her friends got together and put on a conference in 2017. At least they tried to. This is another great example of why YouTubers should never do conferences. So this one is one that gets chalked right up to with Fire Festival, TanaCon, all the other YouTube slash Instagram slash influencer type conferences that have been tried over the years. This is another great example. So with that being said, let's dive into a Keto Krime classic, Kilroy, the conference that should not have been. Let's do it.
Because my IQ is extremely high IQs. I'm talking like way up there IQ. It is.
You really hate your life, don't you? To be
extremely frustrating, being that I am far superior. I am the most.
Hey everybody, welcome to White Collar Crime Wednesday. Today I've got another interesting conference scandal for you. I'm not sure if this really falls into the realm of an actual crime, but it definitely was a scandal that bilked a lot of people out of money, and I thought it was, since it's a YouTube associated scandal, I thought it was worthy of me investigating. So today we're going to cover the Kilroy scandal, and let's just dive right into it, shall we? Alright, the organizers of the event were YouTubers, and the main one that we're going to talk about is this lady up here. I'm not going to use anybody's real name because some of these people still have internet presences, and I don't want you to, well, actually, probably doesn't matter because this lady right here, Based Mama, she actually deleted her internet presence after this whole scandal broke. I wonder why. As you recognize her, she's also the lady in our opening clip talking about her high IQ. So we'll see how well that high IQ served her during the course of this scandal, or this event, quote unquote. You also had Dave Cullen, the gentleman pictured in the drawing there. He runs the YouTube channel Computing Forever. I like his stuff, especially the stuff he actually does on computing. And I think he's a really up and up type of guy. He came out of this looking pretty good. I don't think he really had a whole lot to do with the scandal part of it. I think he really did just want to organize this event. And down here we have Sister Danger, another YouTuber who's still out there and around, who was also one of the main organizers. Now I bet you're wondering, what exactly was Kilroy and why should I care? Kilroy was the first ever free speech conference. Now think about that for a minute. Free speech. They wanted a conference where you could literally talk about anything. Now, in my opinion, the dangers of a free speech conference. Now, I'm a free speech purist. I believe you ought to be able to say whatever you want to say, whatever. As long as you're not bringing harm to somebody else, you should be able to say what you want to say. As long as you're not calling for violence or harm for another person, I believe you should be able to say what you want to say. They wanted a free speech conference where you could talk on any topic that you wanted to, but think about that for a minute. A free speech conference is going to encompass people that maybe you really don't want at your conference. I know that's a contradiction, but think about that. You could literally have people that believe that we should worship a giant tree monster in the sky. You could literally have Holocaust deniers. You could have people that are extremists, nationalists, extremists to the point that they hate another sect of people just because. So that's what you actually have to tolerate at a free speech conference. And that was the beginning of the problems, because it didn't quite turn out that way, as we're going to see. But I bet you're thinking, Keto, why do you even need a free speech conference? Especially if you live in the Western world, you have freedom of speech. Why do you even need a free speech conference? Well, that's a very long, drawn-out story. And let's get into it then. In the beginning, and we're talking the very beginnings of YouTube, 2007, 2008, all the way until about 2013, maybe a little earlier than that, 2012, you had the atheist community, and very prominent on YouTube. They had a huge share of the YouTube watch time spend, however you want to phrase that. And they spent the majority of their time speaking out against religious extremists and nuts like this.
Truth. If you want to reach those kids on the street, then you gotta do a rap to a hip-hop beat. So I gave my sermon an urban kick. My rhymes are fly, my beats are sick. My crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's 'cause Jesus.
So that's what they did. And they won that battle. They fought to keep church and state separate, as it should be. They promoted the use of thinking, skepticism, atheism, for the lack of a better term. And eventually, they won that battle. Now, people I have pictured here are some pretty prominent members of that atheist community. Over here you have Seth Andrews, host of The Thinking Atheist. I'll link all their channels below because I still listen to this guy. I've met him at a few conferences. Great guy. This gentleman up here is Matt Delahanty, host of The Atheist Experience, as well as a master debater. And he travels all over the country doing magic and skepticism conferences. Also a personal friend of mine, great guy. Down here you have Tracy Harris, and I always forget this gentleman's name, I'm so sorry, but they are also hosts of The Atheist Experience. Until recently, I think they've both moved on from there because they were hosts for well over 10, 15 years on the show. And up here you have TJ Kirk. He is known as the Amazing Atheist. He's still around, but his channel is under the moniker TJ Kirk. As I said, I'll link all the channels below so that you can find these people if you're interested in what they did. But in the beginning, they fought against religious nuttery, the type of religion that wants to control people, the kind of religion that wants to say, you're wrong for just being how you were born, like me. I'm gay, so they spoke out against religious Christians wanting to kill gays, for lack of a better term, and other things, but that's how it started. And they whooped religion's butt, at least on YouTube. And eventually, they had nothing left to talk about. And that's the start of the problem. So, basically had nothing left to talk about, at least relevant to atheism, even though we've seen kind of a renaissance of that. The atheist community is back, starting to grow again in prominence, but for the most part, years 2012, 2013, they were sort of out of things to talk about. And some of the members of that atheist, or skeptic as atheists are also known, kind of changed shticks, so to speak. Instead of speaking out against religion, they morphed into speaking out against the new YouTube enemy. Instead of religious nuts, it was SJWs or social justice warriors. You know, think about it. The girl with the pink hair screaming about, you know, women are superior to men, that kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying that all social justice warriors are like that. I'm not. I believe in my own right. I believe in a lot of social justice, but that was the meme that went around, that type of social justice. And so you had a lot of the former members of the atheist community, not necessarily all those we just looked at. Only one of those, TJ Kirk, actually became part of this community. The rest of those atheists stayed pretty much atheists and atheist YouTubers. They became what was now profitable on YouTube. Talking about religion no longer brought in views, so they started talking about SJWs, and particularly speaking out and making fun of SJWs. So the skeptic community became the anti-SJW community. And so you have some pretty prominent members of that sect here. You have James Alsop, Andy Worski, who will become very important later. Some black guy, that's his moniker. I'm not just calling him some black guy. The Quartering, Shoe on Head, and Carl Benjamin, also known, I know I'm kind of covering his face, but you'll see him on another slide, known as Sargon of Akkad. And they started speaking out and making a name for themselves, speaking out against SJWs. And so you saw it go from atheist community to anti-SJW community. And it caught on fire, especially in, 2014, 2015, when you had the hotly contested 2016 U.S. presidential election gearing up. This community became hot. These people were pulling in millions of views, just ranting about SJWs. So as you can see, it became very profitable, and that's why they did it. It was the new shtick. But eventually, this kind of fell out in popularity. They had talked about SJWs till they really couldn't talk about SJWs anymore. And it morphed again. And it morphed again into the internet blood sports community. And the lines of this became kind of blurred. Not only did you have the former skeptics that became anti-SJWs, you now had them very dramatically mixing with the alt-right and even white supremacists and white nationalists. Not all of them did that. The Quartering, some black guy, TJ Kirk, they didn't actually get into the blood sports part of it. They participated in a few blood sports streams, which we're going to look at, but for the most part, they kind of separated themselves from that community when the alt-right started coming. If you don't know what the alt-right is, it is a moniker that was placed on Trump supporters during the 2016 election because these became really hot. 2016, 2017, started falling out of prominence a little bit in 2018. But for the most part, the alt-right were your extreme conservatives, Trump supporters usually, and then that's what you call the alt-right. And then they sort of started mixing with white nationalists like Richard Spencer. This guy's an actual white supremacist Nazi. You had Lauren Southern. She's Canadian, but she actually is very much believes in things like the Great Replacement, like Jews are going to take over the world. I do not believe in any of this stuff. I'm just giving you a history here. Please don't think that. Faith Goldie, another Lauren Southern type, who also believes that white people are being targeted for erasure and things like that. And they started blending with this new internet blood sports community. And the lines became really blurred because you had Andy Worski, who started out as an anti-SJW and very quickly morphed into alt-right when it started turning from just making, you made videos where you made fun of SJWs, you put in clips of SJWs, everybody had a good time. He realized he could make more money by doing live streams. Just going live on your channel, we do it here in the reaction and true crime community too, and talking about SJWs and getting money that way. He realized that was more profitable than just making free-form content like the video I'm doing here, or scripted content. And then he realized he could make even more money if he brought people on the show that were willing to argue. So his show, Worski Live, became the very first blood sports stream. And he brought on, here he is up here, he brought on this gentleman, John Francis Garepi, who is an actual French white nationalist. Also was accused of some antics with underage girls. We won't get into that, but not a good person in my opinion. And he became his co-host. So John Francis Garepi started courting an alt-right or white supremacist audience. He wanted to draw these people in because he knew they'd give money. So he started inviting all these prominent, whereas Andy Worski had just brought other anti-SJWs on there to talk about the issues, or liberals to debate on there. He started bringing on mainly white nationalists and alt-right celebrities and they would talk. In fact, the most famous stream, and you can still find it here on YouTube, has almost a million watches, not including the people, the like 23,000 people that watched it when it was live. He brought on Richard Spencer, who's this guy, who's an actual neo-Nazi white nationalist. He brought him. He brought Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, who was debating this guy. Carl Benjamin's pretty white right-wing. In fact, he ran for office in England, didn't win, but he ran for office in England in their very ultra-conservative party there. But he's pretty conservative himself, but he was coming on to debate this guy. And so that live stream became the #2 trending live stream, or the #2 trending topic on YouTube the day that it happened. And you can still see it right here. Just type in, and I'll link it below, just type in Andy Worski, Richard Spencer, Sargon of Akkad, and you'll be able to watch that. Very heated debate, but that live stream really solidified, and I'll put a clip of it here as well, very solidified the world of internet blood sports, which is very simply anti-SJWs turning to live streams, turning to debate, to court an alt-right audience. And I'm going to insert those clips of both that famous Worski Garepi live stream with Richard Spencer and Sargon of Akkad, as well as another clip of a internet blood sport, so you can see what it was. It was basically getting online and arguing. Think of Geraldo Rivera's show when the fight broke out between the white supremacists and the civil rights leaders, and Geraldo got his nose broken. That happened on TV. Think of that on a live stream. Check these out.
Slowly floated leftward that was based in abstract values like free market capitalism, which could be used to justify things like the Iraq War or what have you, that it was just this free-floating ideology that floated leftward, that floated this way and that floated over to Iraq in some cases, and just became a total disaster and didn't conserve anything. A conservative has to conserve something. A conservative is ultimately a collectivist in that sense.
Read Common Sense by Thomas Paine. That is, like, you can see exactly, they know what they're doing with the American Revolution. I mean, he sits there and plans out like the tonnage of the ships required and the materials required to build these in order to put these values into practice.
He definitely did, yep.
Holy.
So wait. I do think Steve should at least answer to the tweets that you guys said that he wrote earlier.
I just want to know. I want to know why Tonka lied.
Come on, Tonka, let him talk.
Oh, God.
I want to know why Tonka lied about how tall he is.
When did I lie about how tall I was?
Watch the link that I just posted in chat. Watch it. You admit in that link, you say you're 6'1" in there. Why'd you tell me you're 6'2"?
In a pro wrestling interview? I've already said I had to scale myself down because everybody else built theirs. You're an idiot.
And that, my friends, is what the cool kids were watching about 2015, 16, 17. And 2016 and 17 is where the real story of Kilroy Event, the subject of this entire video, begins. You had our good friend Carl Benjamin, also known as Sargon of Akkad, that dude that you saw debating Richard Spencer in that live stream. And Anita Sarkeesian, she's a very famous video game journalist, just in the realm of video games, as well as a internet feminist. They started having some beef, mainly because Anita Sarkeesian came out and supported Zoe Quinn. Have you ever heard the term Gamergate? If you haven't, then Google it. You'll find a whole bunch of stuff on it. But Gamergate happened 2016, 2017. You had this video game designer named Zoe Quinn, who supposedly, allegedly, was sleeping with video game journalists to get her video game good ratings. And people found out about it, busted the story, it came down, and all of a sudden you had this huge push by gamers for fairness and non-forced diversity, because they felt that diversity was being forced into video games. You also had it happen with comic books a little bit later on. You had people that were traditional customers, usually white males, young white males, video games and comic books. That's usually the thing. I was a gamer and a comic book nerd. The diversity didn't really bother me, but I didn't think about it. They did. And then when Zoe Quinn was found to be paying people to rate her video game highly, even though it was a bad game, by all terminations, Gamergate broke out, and you had people making video after video about how diversity should not be forced upon anybody. And of course, the internet blood sports, alt-right, new skeptics jumped on that full forward to get views and to get traction. And then you had Anita Sarkeesian, who was already a really popular internet feminist, come out and start arguing very heavily with Sargon Akkad, who supported Gamergate. And then you had a meltdown, VidCon 2017, where Anita was on a panel, and Sargon was not allowed on the panel by VidCon, but he and his friends came in and sat in the front row, and so that they could hear and see what she had to say, and she went ballistic during the panel. And you can see, and I'll put a clip of it here in just a few minutes, so you can see her go nuts because Sargon's in the front row, and that's what started us on the downward spiral toward Kilroy. Let's check out that clip right now.
I love you too. Dude, who are making these dumbass videos that just say the same shit over and over again. And like, I hate to give you attention because you're a garbage human.
And that set off kind of an unofficial VidCon policy of kind of censoring people that were more on the right-wing spectrum or anti-SJW spectrum of things. They weren't allowed to speak or be on panels or really have anything to do except paying to come and setting up a table and meeting their subscribers. That was pretty much what they were relegated to. Do I think that's right? No. But VidCon is a private company, so not the government, so they kind of have a right to do what they want. It's their conference. That's my opinion on that. But so some of these anti-SJWs, more right-wing people, decided to form their own event, and that's where Kilroy comes in. And Kilroy, the term Kilroy comes from a meme or a drawing that was popular among World War II vets, particularly of the Allies. They would write Kilroy was here and draw the gentleman with the big nose, like we saw on the first panel, around to kind of inspire each other and let them know there were friends around. So they took that moniker and came up with Kilroy, which was scheduled to take place April 2018. And I'm about to insert some clips of some really popular YouTubers coming out and announcing their participation in the Kilroy event. You had Andy Worski, you have Tim Pool, who's a very popular, more centrist, moderate internet journalist, and you have actually Dave Cullen of Computing Forever come out and announce it. And VidCon kind of went down the tube with these more right-wing YouTube personalities, and Kilroy was born. I'm going to insert those clips right now.
So for the past year and a half, myself and Base Mama have been talking privately about the prospect of hosting our own free speech convention, because I think that's something that people really want right now. And if we've learned anything from what happened at VidCon, it's that we all in the skeptic community, we want to meet up, we want to be together, we want to hang out, because I think we can do great things when we work together.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you all doing? I'm so excited to announce the Kilroy Free Speech event that's happening in Phoenix, Arizona on April 21st and April 22nd of next year. That's 2018. I am so excited for this because last year what happened at VidCon was we all noticed, everyone in the audience noticed, that no one of opposing viewpoints were allowed to speak on the panels. It was mainly like SJWs or bigger YouTubers in general. And then we were talking after and we thought, wouldn't it be a great idea to just hold our own con and let anyone speak?
Chamber problems in this country. We do have echo chamber problems with our culture, but I personally believe that the people involved with the Kilroy event are doing what they can to try and break that echo chamber.
And there you have it. The internet was abuzz. They put out a GoFundMe, raised $85,000 to put this on, mostly from these big YouTubers and their fans. They reached out to every YouTuber that wanted to be involved with this. Most of them came from the more conservative areas that were banned from other conferences, like VidCon, Playlist Live, that kind of thing. Not really banned, but censored. So they put out this call that they were going to be there and their fans should donate and buy tickets. So fans started buying tickets and donating, and over $85,000 were raised. But then we kind of hit a bump in the road, shall we say. When these speakers were starting to be confirmed, you had contracts come with the invites, an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, as well as non-competes, where these people were not allowed to perform within or speak within a 500-mile radius of Phoenix, Arizona, where the conference was scheduled to take place in April of 2018, for a period of like 3 years after the conferences. And the NDA said that they could not release the real names of people at this conference for safety's sake. Well, that started to raise a lot of eyebrows among these people who said, well, if this is free speech, why are we being censored? We can't talk about it later. Our fans are going to be there. Of course, we're going to film and we're going to release it on our own channel. But Kilroy, especially Base Mama, was like, no, we can't do that. We got to keep things safe. And she came out many times saying it was to protect former Muslims, it was to protect her family. But again, a lot of these right-wing YouTubers started coming out and speaking out against it. Dave Cullen of Computing Forever kind of mediated the situation and got them to drop the non-competes and the NDAs for the less sensitive areas. But some of them, but Base Mama still insisted on the NDAs for a lot of people, and that started to rub people the wrong way. Then you had a situation with right-wing YouTuber Crouton T, who was real famous in the blood sports community. He had put together a Discord server. I know if you follow a lot of YouTubers, you know about their Discord servers. Well, he had one where the purpose of it was for more moderate and even conservatives, less alt-right conservatives, more moderate people to come together and talk with both YouTube and academic people of the same mindset and learn about things and learn how to debate things. That was the original purpose of his Discord server, but then it morphed into a place where they were literally doxing or releasing the personal identifiable information of a lot of alt-right personalities and things, and that scandal blew up when it was found that Based Mama, the main organizer and creator of Kilroy, was part of that server. Well, more meltdown came, and you started having people speak out against Kilroy, how it wasn't truly free speech, and so that scandal kind of blew up. And then Base Mama basically put out a policy that speakers from the alt-right and the white nationalist movement were not allowed to do the kind of speeches they wanted to do. They had to be on panels that were given topics by the organizers of Kilroy. So basically they were censoring them just like VidCon did. I understand, because you don't want a riot breaking out, so I kind of see both sides, but the fact this is a free speech conference leads me to believe this was probably not a good idea from the get-go. But she started basically censoring alt-righters just like VidCon had done. And that, combined with all the contracts they had to sign, as well as the Kraut server, lots of speakers started dropping out. Check this out.
I volunteered my time over the past few months to promote the event because I believe that a free speech conference like this needs to take place. Ideas and conversations that are not being given platforms at other political conferences need a public airing, and the only way we can truly know the good ideas from the bad is to discuss everything out in the open. It's a very exciting project and has attracted some fantastic and very well-known speakers from around the world. Enormous credit must go to the tireless work of Base Mama, who is arranging everything on the ground in Arizona, and also to Sister Danger. I'm very pleased to have helped get this event started. However, after some careful consideration recently, I've decided to step down from the project because while I do share the same vision for the event with my Kilroy colleagues, we have slightly different views on how best to achieve that vision, though we do share the same passion
heard. Completely disgusted with what I just heard about certain people, and I'll be talking about it tonight on a live show. Fucking, I'm just pissed. I'm sick of just getting lied to straight to my fucking face, and it's all coming out tonight. But what I wanted to make this video about, I just mentioned that because I'm really fucking mad right now. I am honestly the angriest I've been in a long fucking time. Been defending people who are lying straight to my fucking face. And anyway, the thing I wanted to make this video about, if you didn't see yesterday, I did a live stream. Tons of people showed up, and I want to just let you all know that I cannot go to Kilroy. I'm not going to Kilroy.
Announced that I will not be speaking at the Kilroy event any longer. For those that aren't familiar, the Kilroy event is a free speech conference happening in Phoenix, Arizona next April. A lot of the skeptic community is going to be attending. There are some right-wing personalities. There's going to be a lot of panels on free speech and issues of religion, but I will not be attending. Now, I didn't want to make this video. I don't consider myself to be a part of any particular community, and I try to avoid drama, but due to demand, a lot of people have been asking for more specifics, and they've been asking for me to explain myself. So here I am. I'll make this video. I was asked to sign a 16-month non-compete agreement and a 3-year non-disclosure agreement in order to participate in this event. I find those contracts very strange. I have a speaking agent. I have numerous contracts for United Talent. I speak at events all the time. In fact, this week in New York, I'm speaking at an event on technology. This is not standard. This is not normal. And I was not given an adequate...
So after those hit, attendance went way down. People started requesting refunds. Some refunds were given, some weren't. You had the two organizers still left with the event, Based Mama and Sister Danger, going on different internet blood sport streams, blaming each other. Based Mama said that Sister Danger was in charge of that. Sister Danger said she had absolutely no access to refund anybody's money. And basically, a lot of infighting, more refunds were requested. And it went into the toilet at that point. What happened? It did happen. Attendance was drastically under the thousands predicted. More in the hundreds. And I've actually got a few clips from it, which I'll insert right now.
The same in the US and Canada, 77 and 64% respectively. So yeah, like in the Americas, we're not really... that concern with speech legislation regarding people's religious beliefs, but over in Europe, that's where we start to see a problem. Despite a plurality of Europeans...
Yeah, but I'm not going to wait around 5-10 years for that. I'm getting older.
Well, even competitive sites, what they have to realize is Google controls the internet, and we don't realize that. Google also, okay, so here's it, in terms of all of YouTube, of Google's earnings for the year, right, you would assume something.
So as you can see, kind of mediocre attendance there. A lot of the right-wing YouTubers went as guests, didn't speak or anything, so they could gather film for videos, and they started making videos lambasting it and making fun of it, and basically the organizers that were still with Kilroy became the laughing stock of the internet, and as a result, Based Mama killed her entire YouTube presence. Sister Danger's still out there, though she doesn't really upload anymore, and that's how it was left. Was this a crime? Probably not, because in the end, most people that requested refunds got them, but was it a scam? I don't think it started out to be a scam. I think in the end, it was just realized that she had bitten off more than she could chew. She had no experience organizing a huge conference, probably running low on money. There was a lot of discrepancies in what she said, and it just imploded. But in the end, it was definitely became a laughing stock and a meme of its own among the YouTube community, which this and TanaCon leads me to believe YouTubers probably shouldn't organize conferences. They should let other people do that and just attend them. What do you think? But anyway, hope you enjoyed this. That's a foray into the Kilroy event. As always, I'll be here with you with more reactions this week. I'll have another Bloody Sunday coming up on Sunday, and next Wednesday I'll be back with another White Collar Crime Wednesday. Thanks so much, guys. Ketosis, Keto Comic, out.